Story 1. My high school sweetheart was raped when we were teens while cheating on me. I'm still not over it. I've got a lot I just need to talk about. I probably should go to a therapist, and I plan on it. But right now, this is all I can do. I have to omit some details for privacy. When I was a teen, I'd been with a girl for a few years, which is a while when you're that age. To make a long story short, I had found out that she was cheating on me for a while, but ended up getting blackmailed into sexual acts with a bunch of different guys, some at the school, some not. They had a bunch of her nudes and allowed their group to freely use her. For lack of a better term, the betrayal killed me. And seeing this supposed pure puppy love get violated really messed me up. I knew about it for a while, still talked to her, and I eventually confronted her about it. She got really defensive and begged me not to breath a word about what was happening. So I didn't, way too scared and hurt to do anything. I had a very close friend of mine tell me that I need to tell someone, but I couldn't find the strength. It was like a switch flipped in her. I was emotionally and verbally abused by her often. She had gotten sexual with my friends. She would often tell me that it will be my fault she kills herself, etc., etc. One day, she had some bout of psychosis and tried to kill herself after sending me messages about how she put my name in a suicide note as to the reason why she's doing it, and so forth. I remember she shredded her arms with glass before taking a bunch of sleeping pills. I remember that day very vividly. It was at that night I got her Facebook login, went through all of her messages and submitted an anonymous tip with all the details on perpetrators raping and sexually abusing her. I cried that night. I sobbed, and for a long time I carried this suffocating weight. I think I still do. For a while I blamed myself. If only I said something sooner, she wouldn't be fucked up for the rest of her life. I remember I would mow lawns to get money around that time, and would give every last cent to the church I was going to. I would relentlessly pray for her, beg God to help me help her. I wanted so badly for things to go back the way they were. I cried out to God so much. At school, during lunch, I prayed in the bathroom. I prayed all the time. I have been through a number of traumatic things in my life. I've experienced a lot of death and betrayal. This was the particularly most awful thing I've experienced. I'm an adult now. I have been in a relationship for 6 years, and yet I still feel plagued by flashbacks to that time. I just needed to vent this out. Nebulancy says, you did the right thing by telling someone she was destroying herself, and Uranda Minecraft Seed says, you sound like you've done some serious growing OP. You didn't deserve what you went through, and neither did she. Sounds like you know what you've got to do, and I think therapy is a great next step. Critical Bank 5269 says, speechless. Story 2. I think my former DM quit playing and DMing Dnd after my group told her she wasn't good enough. I'm part of a group of 5 friends that love Dungeons and Dragons. We all played for a nightmare of a DM, but we like playing together. We recently held auditions for a new DM and had a few duds before coming across a new DM. I'll call her Willow. Willow had a lot of green flags. She was willing to listen and had a lot of homebrew material. She spent over 18 hours writing a one-shot for us to try, so we could test if we liked her style. After that, we happily asked her to be our DM. She spent over 2 days of her own time designing a world, butling characters with us, and answering our questions. We played session 1, and everybody had a lot of fun except one player. I'll call him Jason. Jason has really high expectations. He has played for some DMs who have actual play games professional D&D, so he has really high standards. Most of the group really liked Willow, and as we gathered for a meeting before our second session, Jason voiced that he didn't want her to DM for us anymore. That she wasn't polished enough, that her world had plot holes, that he didn't like how she played NPCs. And because we play together and are unwilling to split apart the group, we dropped Willow 15 minutes before session 2. She had a really angry reaction, but it was kind of appropriate. I understand why she felt betrayed. It has been about 6 months since we dropped her. WHE have yet to find a DM that meets Jason's expectations. When I messaged Willow yesterday, she told me she has sold her books and dice and given up on ever DMing or playing ever again. She seems okay with her decision, but I also know D&D was her whole life and she loved it so much. She also told me she was going to block everybody she had ever played D&D with because she was cutting it out completely from her life. Before she blocked me, she told me Jason had PM'd her and told her she wasn't good enough for our table, and she should probably stick to writing books. She even sent a screenshot. I feel awful. I feel like we chased away a very talented DM from the hobby because she wasn't as good as an actual play DM. I feel disappointed in myself. I feel hurt. And I feel angry that we ruined the experience of a person who put so much effort and energy into writing a story for us. I feel sick. Both Basis 9 says, I always insist on it. You don't get to talk shit about the DM style and play until you have sat in the chair. Rule. Too many expect Matt Mercer level content for free from people with day jobs. Unusual at 1472 says, and why are you guys still friends with Jason? S30M friend V0G3L says, you all sound awful. She spent a lot of time and none of you seem to appreciate it. And you all decided to throw her out again because of Jason's ridiculously high expectations. If he has that high expectations, he needs to actually pay someone to DM instead of expecting random people you recruit to commit days of their free time for you guys. And then after that, Jason even harassed her and called her bad. How can you stay friends with someone that awful, entitled, and toxic? Story 3. Why are boys so weird? Last week, I 17F was sitting in my school's library doing my homework when these two guys who looked like they were juniors and a senior came up to me. I looked up, and one of them said, hey, my friend here thinks you're magnificent and wonders if you and him could exchange numbers, and I told him, oh, sorry, I'm not interested, and he literally told his friend, Oh W Rizz, and then they walked away. It was the weirdest interaction Eve ever had and never in my entire life. When I hear someone say W Rizz in real life, Dr. Coctopus says, Oh Rizz mediocre greatness 333 says, average teenage boy source, I'm one. Getting Wrecked 1 says, because you're 17, thanks for watching, I love you. Follow Reddit Echoes for more.